Does your child or your student resist reading no matter what you try? It might not be the book. It might be how the story is being delivered. I know, that sounds crazy. In today's video, I'm going to show you how Makerspace projects can shift the reading experience from pressure and frustration to joy, innovation, curiosity, and happiness. These creative activities can spark a love of reading, and even for those kids who hate books. Hope you stick around. Hi, I'm Trina Debery, and this is One Tired Teacher turned Readers in the Making. So in today's video, you're going to learn why hands-on learning works, especially for reluctant readers. We're going to talk about how to use story-based projects to deepen comprehension, and I'm going to show you examples of how easy Makerspace ideas that you can try today. So let's jump in with idea number one. Let's start with the problem in the story. Now, often kids struggle, especially kids that are reluctant to read. They don't see themselves in books, and so they often feel behind or left out before you've even begun, which nobody wants to feel like they're not included or they can't see their own selves in the story. So let's take a little bit of a shift here and let's have kids be part of the solution. And let's have them, instead of having them like recall information or read information, invite them to solve information. All right, so first you're going to choose a book, and it can be any book, but let's take an example of After the Fall, which is one I have shared before. In this case, we can do things like we can ask, what would you build for this character? Maybe they would come up with a softer landing zone. Maybe they would have a climbing tool. Maybe they would think, you just never know what kids are going to think because they let their imagination soar. And often, the older they get, the more limited their thinking becomes. It's like we've bashed out creativity, and we don't want to do that because we're going to need creativity in our lifetime. All right, so we're going to give them a time to sketch. We're going to give them a time to ask questions, to think about it, to build it, to test it, to revise it. And that changes the experience for kids, especially kids that are reluctant to reading. So let's talk about why this works. It really shifts the focus on what they can't do to what they can do and what they can create. It also helps kids feel capable and curious and confident. It's not the part of reading that makes them feel hard, like it doesn't feel like it's hard. It's the part that they get to do, and they get to feel successful around reading and books. It builds story connection before decoding even begins. All right, let's talk about idea number two. Before we do that, if you liked anything you heard, make sure to like this video. It helps tell me that, yes, you want more information. All right, idea number two, we're going to read aloud, and then we're going to allow them to build. So the struggle is that often kids, they lose interests halfway through the book, or they resist starting it altogether. And we have to do something about this because we want them to hear all the parts of the book and not just all the beginnings and middles and that's it. We want them to keep going. So we need to shift our solution to something like, guess what? There's going to be a Makerspace extension after we're finished. So we're going to read a story, and then they're going to have a Makerspace challenge. And you might have them do things like, retelling or, asking and answering questions or developing the character or whatever, but there's going to be a Makerspace. So they have something to look forward to, something where they can feel successful. So let's take the Three Little Pigs. I really liked this version of the Three Little Pigs. You might have them, think about how they can solve the pig's problem. Maybe they build a better house. Maybe they build some kind of protection. There's the world is their oyster. Another example might be from this book, Diary of a Worm, which is maybe they're going to build a better communication device for the worm because he has no hands. How is he supposed to write when he has no hands? So it's like looking at problems and coming up with solutions. Now, why does this work? It works because it makes stories feel interactive. It helps kids process meaning through doing, and reading becomes a springboard, not a standalone task. And that's the beauty of it. All right, let's look at idea number three. But before we forget, definitely like this video, share it with a friend, share it with another parent or another teacher who is having a hard time getting reluctant readers to read. All right, idea number 3, and that is keeping projects simple and open-ended. Now, I wanted to really focus on this open-ended part because the problem is we often feel like we need some kind of fancy supplies or Pinterest perfect projects, and we don't. We don't need that. We also feel like maybe we need some kind of craft, and that's not true either. We want to keep these open-ended solutions so that it becomes critical thinking and problem solving. And we already have these materials. We have these materials in our house, in our classroom. We've already got them. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. We're going to use what we have. We're going to let the child take the lead. We're going to, provide cardboard and tape or Play-Doh or cotton balls or Q-tips or any of those things. You're going to ask them what they could build from the story. That alone could be something that you do. We're going to let them design. We're going to let them fail. We're going to let them revise. We're going to let them proudly explain their explanation. And it gives them the opportunity to be successful around books. All right, so why does this work? Reluctant readers thrive on movement and creativity. It's often how they think. And sometimes you don't get to see that because it's like we're going to do it this one way and everyone has to do it this one way. This is the opportunity to allow kids who think differently to do it differently. We're going to provide projects that validate ideas and contributions. And it's not about being right. It's about being engaged. So that's the important part. All right, so let's talk about final thoughts and trying this tonight. If your child doesn't think they're a reader, let them build their way into books. Hands-on activities can reframe how they see themselves as readers and thinkers. And something that they feel like they're not good at or they feel like they're bad at it can become something they explore. All right, so I have a freebie for you and you can grab it down below, and it's a challenge for after the fall, and it comes with lots of think sheets about like working through like coming up with what is the problem and how can I solve it and how do I illustrate it, what does that look like, and then even has a blueprint page, and then allows them to just think through things but also do it. So that's the exciting part. If you want more tips like this, more strategies, more quick things you can try, ways to help your child or student love reading, then I would love for you to join me inside this workshop for the love of reading. It's an hour workshop. You get lots of little bonuses. There's like a 30-day reading challenge that's so simple that anyone can fit it in their busy schedule. It's only $9.99. If you're interested, it's right down below in this video. Grab that link and join me. And if you love what you heard, definitely give me a like and the thumbs up, and share this with a friend, and make sure to subscribe. And definitely come back next week. Until next time.